welcome back to the UK Thrashers podcast. Sorry it's been so long between episodes, but this is a good one. First up is a brand new exclusive track from our mates in Novichok. This is taken from their upcoming EP, Empire of Lies. This is Omnicide.
Escalation, edge obliteration, clear propagation, conflagration. Will you fight to survive? Perish and die. Outbreak of disease, run your lead, super bug epidemic, infectious system, black death consume, nasty doom and the dead mutation, the vaccination. Omnicide, taken by surprise. Omnicide, will to survive. See the fear in their eyes, losing their mind. Octagon falls, torrential blood it goes on. Omnicide, humans vaporize. Omnicide, civilization fossilized. Feeling the fear, knowing the end is there. Is there a cure? Is future obscure? Leaders, hands on blood, swift destruction, mass escalation, edge obliteration, clear propagation, conflagration. Will you fight to survive? Or should die? Warheads ready to strike, troops will fight, innocents will die. Can you hear the cries? War will consume, Nazis doom, nuclear detonation, mass creation. Omnicide, taken by surprise. Omnicide, will to survive. See the fear in their eyes, losing their mind. Arctic ice falls, torrential blood it goes on. Omnicide, humans vaporize. Omnicide, civilization fossilized. Feeling the fear, knowing the end is there. Is there a cure? Is future obscure?
A nasty little northern bastard from our mates in Novichok. Don't forget to catch these guys live Thursday the 22nd of July at their home stomping and drinking ground, Trillions, supported by Trendkill. Okay, the week before Novichok playing live, our mates in Blacklist are launching their brand new album Disciples of Time. Here is the latest single from that album. This is Crucifix. make sure you head off to Blackpool to the Bootleg Social to check out the Blacklist Disciples of Time launch party on the 16th of July. Next up is our interview of the week. John gets to chat to Aaron from legendary Gothic Doom Thrash meddlers Paradise Lost.
This is Tyler from Blacklist, and you are listening to the UK Thrashers radio show.
Paradise Lost have a reputation for being dour Yorkshiremen, so when I got the chance to interview guitarist Aaron, one of the band's founder members, I wasn't quite sure what to expect. As it turns out, I needn't have worried. He's a thoroughly nice guy and remarkably cheerful. We were supposed to spend about half an hour talking about the new live album, Live at the Mill, but we ended up chatting for almost an hour on topics from COVID to grammar schools, learning foreign languages and charity bike rides. And we managed to get some Paradise Lost in there as well. Enjoy. So you're keeping well then, yeah?
Yeah, reasonably well. Up until about a month ago, I was feeling a little institutionalized, but then I started. I just did the Heavy Metal Truants, which is like a charity cycle ride.
Is that the Iron
usually
Maiden thing?
It usually goes from it's Rod Smallwood, and Alex Milas, who used to be the editor of Metal Hammer. They sort of set it up. The Heavy Metal Truants 9 years ago. We've just done the 9th one, but last year and this year have been sort of virtual. Right. That was a great excuse to get myself out of the house, because literally all I've done for 9 months is walk from the music room to the kettle back. That's it. Even when I went for my first jab in March, it was like a 40-minute walk to Islington.
Yeah.
And my legs were hurting after just walking there and back, because that's how little I'd done. Because normally I sort of cycle quite a lot. Yeah. But the last year I just haven't done so much. I did the charity ride last year, and then until a few weeks ago, I hadn't even been on a bike for like a year. So
yeah.
But yeah, I had a bit of a dicky knee and I wasn't feeling so well, but I managed to do 250 miles in 5 days, and then I've got a bit more. I've got another 120 to do on Thursday and Friday this week.
Oh, just sort of chuck that in.
Looks like it might be raining, so it's proper download weather.
Oh yeah, God! As I say, I mean the whole sort of pandemic thing has just thrown the whole music and live industry into turmoil, hasn't it? Well,
yeah. I mean, funnily enough, I was thinking the other day, the last time I was home this much, I was a teenager, and I'm nearly 52 now.
Yeah,
I kind of threw it into perspective for me, really, because
I think as soon as someone says you can't do something, that's all you want to do, then, isn't it?
Well, I love playing live. I mean, all right, I get bored of airports and transport, basically, but I love playing live. It's my favourite thing, and I'd miss it. That's wrong, because I knew I'd miss it. But how much I am used to the sort of the adrenaline rush of playing live, frequently in my life, and then a year of not having that rush, it's almost like, I don't want to say it's like losing a drug, because I've never been a drug guy, but do you know what I mean? You can feel that something's missing, but you can't put your finger on it. And I just thought of it the other day. It's like I've been missing that adrenaline rush frequently that I've been used to for over 30 years, you know?
Yeah. Oh, it's amazing how it affects your mental state, isn't it? And your perspective on things. And suddenly you lose all interest in doing stuff and you think, well, you know, I've got so much time on my hands, I don't want to do anything, you know?
Yeah, I kind of, that's it. You make all the best plans. I I could have done this flat up about 50 times, but the intention was I was going to do a load of stuff on it, and I haven't done anything, I've got to be honest, to the flat anyway.
I don't know about you, but I sort of need a deadline and a time scale. Someone says, well, it's got to be done by this date, and then I'll do it. If someone says, well, we're going to be in lockdown forever, I won't do anything then.
I mean, the one thing I promised myself was I was going to work on bits of my guitar playing that I haven't really focused on since I was a kid. Because I'm sort of a very... I'll sit in my music room, and sometimes it'd be like acoustic guitar or it'd be keyboards. I'm not sort of specifically tied to just playing metal guitar. I like all sorts of stuff. So, but as far as the rock stuff, I've kind of got quite comfortable with it. But there's aspects of things that I haven't touched for years, like my lead playing. I've never been a lead player. I'm more of a Malcolm Young kind of Rudy Schenker kind of player. I wish I was Michael Schenker, but I am more of a Rudy Schenker. Rudy and James Hetfield meant it was cool to be a rhythm player, and I like that, because I'm a frustrated drummer. I wanted to be a drummer, really.
So as long as you don't want to be a bass player, that's fine.
Oh, well, I did play. I've got a nice bass actually. I've had it for quite a long time, but yeah, it's. I don't mind. Do you know what? When you hear some amazing bass playing, it's incredible.
Yeah, I mean that's what I am. When you hear people like John Entwistle, people like that, you just like,
yeah,
wow.
I mean, it's funny. I remember John Entwistle once. There was a famous. Funnily enough, I've got a bit of rack gear that's from John Entwistle's studio when it was broken down.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I've got a Sansamp PSA 1, which is like a rack unit for it's like one of the first guitar cab emulator things. But it came out of his studio, and I got it from Funky Junk, and they priced it wrongly. But because I said I was coming down, I bought it for 99 quid. It was brilliant. It's a great little thing.
Wow.
So, but yeah, and the one thing I didn't realise, I sort of played around with it, but I reset it, and I thought, oh God, I've just lost all John Entwistle's bloody presets. What an idiot. But yeah, no, John Entwistle famously said, it's like, hang on, what do you need like a 6-string bass for? And he did a massive solo on a 4-string. He said, see? And he was incredible. I mean, actually, there's one bass back, I can't remember what his name was, but he was in Elvis Presley's Vegas band. And you hear some of the live Elvis stuff. And I know this is totally away from metal, but the bass playing is probably the best bit about that band. I mean, he had some great guitar players as well. But I mean, the bass playing is just out of this world, you know.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I was the same as you. I mean, I grew up on metal and stuff, but then I saw the Buddy Rich live drum solo. The best thing I've ever seen.
Legend.
Yeah, just phenomenal playing. You're just messing about on the hi-hat. It just blows your mind.
Yeah, the only person to outdrum Animal on the Muppet Show.
Right, fair enough. Yeah, okay. So anyway, we've got a limited time anyway, I think, haven't we, Aaron? You must be sick of doing these interviews by now, but... Oh,
no, do you know what? It's quite nice because there was quite a long period where I hadn't done anything, so it's been nice to talk to people. My wife's on Zoom all the time. We're doing work stuff, but so I just end up in my room on my own all the time. So
it's a bit lonely. So I have got some questions to sort of run through anyway, just to give us a bit of a framework. So yeah, so sort of tell me about the Live at the Mill setup then. I mean, how it came about and whose idea was it, that kind of thing.
Well, we'd seen a couple of other bands sort of starting to look at the options. I mean, it became quite apparent by the time we sort of got to like May, June that probably the rest of the year was written off, the way everything was going. And so, I mean, we know the mill well because, you know, we did it's actually the same room that we did our Beneath Broken Earth video.
Okay.
It's the same video crew we used for that. So we knew we could sort of, but we used the whole of the room instead of like just one corner of it this time. And the guy who ran the mill had just got a grant for getting in sort of like streaming stuff.
Okay.
I think the first one he did was, because both New Model Army and ourselves rehearsed in the same building. Chumbawamba used to be there years ago, but they're not anymore. Yeah,
I watched a New Model Army documentary the other day, and they were filming stuff. Some bits from there. So yeah, it's the same building then, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they rehearsed. I mean, there's literally just us and New Model Army in there, I think, at the minute. And there's a small recording studio. But yeah, no, the New Model. I mean, I've been a fan since the mid '80s, but. They're such a good bunch of lads. I mean, they're good mates and everything. And do you know what? They're still incredible live. But it was with the setup there. He's got a little stage there anyway, as the guy. But we didn't really use that. But he does use it as a venue and a nightclub. So it's got a PA in there. It's got all the stuff. But he got a grant to turn it into a streaming thing.
Okay.
Which was quite fortuitous. So we did have like a full day of production, testing it all and rehearsing and making sure everything right the day before, and then the day we did more, you know, the day of the recording, we sort of did it as well. So we knew that everything was spot on. Plus, if there was any problems with any bits of gear, we could just literally go upstairs to get another piece out of the rehearsal room. So it was quite good in that because all our gear was there if we needed any spares or anything as well. Say if anything happened partway through the broadcast, we know we could either do an emergency, could literally run up and get it, but we were fine. I mean, it was great. I mean, our techs were so excited because they hadn't had anything to do for 6 months. It was
well, yeah.
Do you know what? It was actually because I hadn't seen the band for 6 months either, or so. Actually, more than 6 months, probably about 8 months or something. And it was just really nice to sort of hang out. Yeah, really. You know what I mean? Because I mean, these are, you know, them and the crew. A lot of the crew have been with us for decades as well. So. it was really nice to do in the middle of everything, really.
I was going to say,
it turned out really well. I mean, we all felt comfortable in the space. Do you know what it was? The one thing it reaffirmed me is like I miss the energy of a crowd. Yeah. I think as much as anything, because I feed off that. I think everyone does, but you know, I mean, even though I've got my eyes closed most of the time, I still know they're there. Fair enough. I think it reaffirmed that one of the best bits about playing live is actually the fact that you're sharing music that you love with other people who love it too, and that's I did kind of miss that, but no, I mean we'd spent 2 days sort of putting everything together and rehearsing, so we felt pretty comfortable by the time it went. But to be honest, we just had to stop thinking about the fact that it was going out. Do you know what I mean? Because otherwise, it's that thing. It's like people on telly. The minute they know there's 6 million people watching them, they go, yeah. You know, nothing is as nerve wracking as that show we did in Plovdiv with the orchestra. And that was everybody. Everybody in the band was crapping themselves for that one. Playing with real musicians, you know. Yeah. Because I don't really get nervous. I get excited when I play live. But that one I was actually really nervous, to be honest. I didn't want to be the one guy that did like a oh God, you know. Yeah. So really concentrating for the orchestra set. But but the Mill thing, it was it turned out really good. I mean, we saw like sort of offshoots of what it looked like on the back, you know, from the camera screens. But you don't really get a thing until you see the proper footage, and it turned out really good. But I mean, Ash, the guy, his production company who did all the filming and that, he's done about the last 5 videos or something. He's another Yorkshireman that we know quite well, and he gets it. So we had a lot of trust in him, which I think means a lot. Yes. And Les, our sound guy, he was really on it. So he did a great. I mean, Les has been with us for years, but you know, a lot of people know him from he was in Cradle of Filth and Anathema as well. The keyboard player, but so it's very comfortable because it was people we knew that we've known for years working with us. We felt comfortable in the space, and we rehearsed like mad for it, you know. So I mean, so how easy was it to actually sort of get everyone back together after a few months off and things like that, and with the industry being hit so hard by COVID and stuff? It's the falling off a log thing, you know what I mean? It's kind of, it feels weird at first, but then the minute you plug in, the count happens, you play, and it's just like, it could have been yesterday you were playing together. Yeah, you know. Yeah. So people hadn't gone off and got jobs in Tesco's or whatever, and said, "Oh, quit the biz." I mean, the techs had definitely had to go get work because I mean, all of a sudden, all their income had gone basically. I mean, one of the techs, he's actually got his own business on the side as well anyway, so he just got very busy with that. Just kind of like doing lots of driving and delivery. But I know a lot of crew people. I know one guy who was booked up to do like a full production tour for 2 years, gone, you know. I mean, that's 70 grand's worth of earnings for him, gone in an instant, you know. And as it's turned out, none of that's happened because obviously this year it's pretty much written off as well, you know. Hopefully with the download thing this week, that'll hopefully mean that Bloodstock can happen, which I'm looking forward to playing. Yeah, I mean, I'd say the government had just said today that it looks like another 4 weeks of COVID stuff, and they delayed the 21st of June opening to a month's time, haven't they? So have they announced that now? Pretty much so, yeah, from what I can see. So it's just crawling, isn't it? Just want to get over the line, don't you? Yeah, it's weird, really. Cause I've stopped hoping that it'll happen. It's just if it'll happen, it happens. You know. Yeah. Rather than pinning my hopes in it and then being disappointed, it's just like I'll be ready for it, and if it happens, perfect. If it doesn't, I'll be ready for the next one. You know. But I mean, we've had so many of the festivals moved already to next year. It was supposed to be last year. You know, it's just leapfrogging all the time. Yeah, it's a bit like watching Euro 2020, isn't it, this year? Yeah, I mean, it's almost like 2020 didn't happen. I mean, we sort of played, I think January we played in Switzerland. Then I did a charity bicycle ride across Vietnam, end of January. And then February we were sort of in Russia, Siberia, Ukraine. And actually 2 of the guys got really ill on that trip.
Okay.
Les had to go to hospital in Russia, and our drum tech collapsed on a plane. And we just thought they were like, no, we didn't know it was COVID then, but that's what it was.
Okay. Oh, wow.
Because in February, it hadn't been, nobody knew really how to diagnose it really. But yeah, those two. And then, but yeah, a friend of mine, Hammy, who ran Peaceful Records, he's got a really bad problem with the long COVID. It's affected his heart now. He's literally in his mid-50s, and he's gone from being okay to now he's got to live on single story, living only. He can't manage stairs. So I think he's lost something like 30% capacity of his heart or something ridiculous. It's really knocked him for six. So I mean, when people are running around like idiots, not caring, it really winds me up. But as it does most people, most sensible people, you know, it's a tiny minority, but it's just like, please have some sense, you know.
Yeah, it's not worth getting ill and having consequences the rest of your life, is it? You know, that's kind of it, isn't it? I mean, how difficult was it choosing the songs? I mean, you got 16 tracks, including the encore songs. I mean, and they pretty much cover every album, I think.
Like that. Yeah, we've got about 180 songs or something to choose from. It's mental. There are a bunch of songs which people always like to hear. I mean, and we don't have them all in the set at the same time, but say there's like 10 songs people like to hear regular. We'll make sure there's at least 6 of those in the set.
Yeah.
I mean, because we hadn't really done the albums, we did three songs off the new album.
Yeah.
But we sort of want to save most of the tour, because when we do a tour, we usually do, for a new album, we usually do on a tour 5 songs usually, maybe 6.
Yeah.
Depending on the album and the flow of the set, really. But then there's like a few that every now and then it's like, oh, we haven't played that for ages, let's do that one. Or Walter, our drummer, he loves PL. He's like, can we do this one? He gets super excited. It's like, yeah, right, let's do that one. He's really cool, you know. I mean, he's half my age, but he's twice as sensible as the rest of us, to be honest. He's such a great lad. He's Walter, the Finnish drummer we've got. Great.
Yeah, I think they sort of breed metal musicians in Finland, don't they?
Yeah, I think if you don't like metal, I think you get sent somewhere else.
Go live in Denmark or something. Yeah,
Finns are one of my favourite nations of people because I've never met a bad Finn, and I think we've had more Finnish support bands than any other country, even more than Sweden. We've had a lot of Swedish ones.
Yeah,
but it's loads of Finnish bands have played with us and then gone on to do better.
Well, you managed to survive this long. I mean, that's. I mean, as I say, I grew up with you guys. I think Icon. I think Icon was the first album I have from yours. I think. Well,
that's 20 years old next year. 30 years old.
30 years. Yeah, it's scary, isn't it? Suddenly you think, oh.
It's because I'm looking at dates for 2022. I keep thinking it's 2022 because our literally gig planner now. It's like it's pretty full for 2022. But it's just all the stuff that's been airlifted out of 2021. We're supposed to be doing, I think it's about 3 festivals last year that are doing. It was the 25th anniversary last year of Draconian Times, and so we're supposed to be playing it. I think 2 festivals and then Bloodstock. So Bloodstock might get it on the 26th anniversary, but everyone else is getting it on the 27th anniversary. But I mean, then next year, 1 Second's 25 years old. So.
You could go on forever doing this just to celebrate the next album every year.
We've got so many anniversaries. It's mental. It's great though, you know, because it's weird. I sort of go from feeling like we've only been going 2 minutes to feel like forever. You know, I mean, on stage, I feel like anything between like 8 and 18, and then in the morning when I get up, I feel anything from 80 to 83.
That's fair. I mean, so you're actually touring with Moonspell, aren't you, in 2022 at the moment?
Yeah, looking forward to that. They're a really good bunch of lads. Really looking forward to that. And we're doing also, I think the show in Leeds is going to be like the whole of the Obsidian album, which would be almost like 2 years late. But
I know. I mean, that's amazing, isn't it? Really. I mean, you know, it's 2 years after you release an album, it must feel like, well, that's kind of gone in a way. You know, it's weird. I mean, isn't it?
I wouldn't have even imagined in February that last year when we were in Russia that it'd be the last gig we do for 2 years potentially. You know, hopefully. I mean, I've still got some gigs plumbed in for. I mean, Bloodstock is the next one. for us in August, hopefully. Instead of going for like the end of this year, I think a lot of people have put it on another 6 months just to be a little more sure. But yeah, we'll see. But yeah, no, the middle show, it turned out, I was actually really pleased. It felt good when we were playing it. And, it just felt so nice to be playing with the guys. Again, you forget how much you miss it, really. I mean, just being around it. Because, Nick I've known since I was 12 years old. I've known Greg since I was 11.
Yeah.
Actually, no, just turned 12. But, it's, known them forever, really. And it's, as much as it's nice to have time apart when we spend so much time together, when you know you're not allowed to see people for an extended period, it makes you want to see them a bit more, So I do miss them. For all the foibles, I do miss them. And the thing is, as much as we have this miserable image, to be honest, we have a right bloody laugh. We have trouble looking miserable for some of the photos sometimes. We're just laughing all the time. It's like,
you can't smile. It's gothic stuff. You can't smile. Miserable.
Yeah, it's we do have a laugh. We wouldn't have been going for this long if we didn't get on. I think you've got to get on a proper personal level and a shared love of comedy. If you like the same things that make you laugh, there's always a good chance. And everyone likes a beer or two, so we'll laugh.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I listened to the album a few times, and it's got a really lovely, gritty, organic kind of sound to it. Was it important to you that you captured the sound in that way? How tempting was it to go in the post production and sort of just redo that bit, or just tweak this or whatever? Was there any of that?
In recent years, we've gone back to, especially since we started working with Gomez around the Plague Within, because for a number of years there was like the reamping thing was really popular, and it's still really popular. And I do when I record at home when I'm doing a session or something like that. I always do the clean DI and the thing in case they want to change the amp sounds further down the line.
Yeah.
But we decided that I think it was Greg that really pushed it first, but Gomez was really into it. It was like, you remember when we were doing like Shades of God and Icon? You got a guitar sound, you recorded it, that was it.
Yes.
You committed it to tape, basically, because you couldn't do anything with it. And so I think very much when we started meeting Gomez, I was friends with Gomez before we used him. I used to go cycling with him. And I knew he'd get it, and he completely gets the PL way and the sound and the whole shebang, really. And he was he likes old school thing. He's actually got a tape machine, not that we've used it because it needs servicing constantly, that bloody thing. But he likes the old school vibe of like, get the sound, get it down, and that's it. Old school, and then you mix what you've got. And it's and I think that's been really cool to do, because then you're not umming and ahhing about guitar sounds later when you really should be building your mix around those sounds that you've already got.
Yeah, that's the whole curse of recording these days, isn't it? You can kind of digitally you could change forever and procrastinate forever, never actually finish anything if you're not careful.
Yeah, so we started treating it as though we were going to tape, and I think it makes everything a lot easier, especially for Gomez when it comes to like recording and mixing. He knows what he's got to work with. He's not thinking, all right, I'll get this bass sound, but later on if the guitars change, it won't work with that. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because the guitar's done first, and the bass is done over the guitars. It's like he knows what he needs to work then, and it's a better flow all around, I think.
Yeah, you and Greg, you both use Kempers, don't you? I think live, is that right?
Yeah, and Line 6 floorboard sometimes. Depends, because with some airlines, the flying restrictions and the weights and the size of bags. So we've got two options for when we're flying a lot of the time. But we use Kempers through proper amps when we're playing live most of the time. But it's a convenience thing. I'm still quite happy if I've got the Kemper and I've just literally got the Line 6 board going straight into a proper amp. I'm happy with that as well. It's quite. At home I've got like I've got a 2 notes unit which just emulates the cab for me, and I can use proper amps at home, so it's quite good. But that's just for me mucking about, really. But it's great. But for a couple of the sessions, for the Heavy Metal Truants launch video for this year for Heavy Metal Truants 9, I had to like very short notice do. They didn't have the music for the video.
Okay.
You think of something the week before, and I said, yeah, I'll think of something. And then on Monday, he says, how's that track coming along? I said, well, I haven't got the video to sort of time it to. And he goes, oh, because we're launching tomorrow. I was like, oh. So he sent me the video. And then, so literally, I got the video at 12, and by 5 o'clock, I'd recorded the guitar, and I'd literally sort of written it. I had the riffs, but I'd sort of arrange it, and then recorded the guitars, bass, and then drums for it. And he had it by tea time. But yeah, no. So, but luckily the 2 notes thing had just arrived, and I got a killer bass sound through that. But the guitars, it was just super quick for me. I just found a new sound that I really liked on the sort of Kemper Exchange online. And I was like, oh, sounds great. So I use that. And the thing is, it doesn't sound like PL, because I mean, it was a 2-order thing. And the only thing he said riffs, metal riffs, and that's what he wanted. So
metal riffs. That covers a whole.
That was the job quote for it. So yeah, it took me about an hour to stop writing doom riffs and to make something a bit more upbeat. But that was good fun to do, even though it was a stressful 5 hours. But it's that sort of thing. Because I live in a small London flat, I can't really power cabs up and things like that, you know. So having the Kemper, the Logic, and the 2 notes now, because actually I can use a proper amp or preamp pedals and stuff with the 2 notes. It's brilliant. Live at the Mill stuff was
all live.
I was playing live in a room. Les sort of did it all pretty much. I can't remember if Gomez mixed it, but I think Les did it, to be honest, because he did the live end of it as well, and he's good with mixing and everything as well. So yeah, but the Mill, it sounds really good. But to say it's a small room, it's just us sort of stood in like a semicircle with Nick facing us, which is weird, really. Seeing Nick in front of you facing you was a bit weird. But you know, it came out great. But there again, we did a lot of prep for it to make sure it was good. I mean, there are a couple of tiny mistakes, but that's only because I'm really nitpicking. But you're always going to have that. That's playing live, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, think back to the albums of the sort of the 80s. They're live albums in inverted commas of your Priest live and your Unleashed in the East. I mean, they must have, just redone the whole thing in the studio and dubbed some crowd noise on after,
Well, they pretty much did that, didn't they?
Yeah, Unleashed in the studio.
Yeah, but I think, it's like Jimmy Page famously just made half of it up. They didn't even, before people had digital tuners and stuff, so they're not strictly in tune either, you know what I mean? Pitch or anything like that. They're just sort of like, bing, 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 are you in tune? Tune up with me, bang, off. Jimmy Page has quite a few mistakes, and he's playing a great player, but he has quite a lot. But they just leave it in because it's vibe.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think, you're not classical musicians. You haven't got sheet music in front of you. You're not playing like a machine, are you? It's about the whole, they say it's capturing the vibe, isn't it? Yeah, okay. So, I mean, how have you found lockdown in terms, being musically creative? Did it start off and you had lots of stuff and lots of ideas, and has that petered out, or have you managed to sort of, has this rekindle it?
Because I don't write PL stuff, so
no. It sounds like you do a lot of stuff.
For the first 6 months of lockdown, I was actually in Aberystwyth, where my wife's from. We went to visit friends, and then we got locked down there, and Wales closed the borders, so you couldn't get out.
Yes.
Which was quite nice because we were by the sea, so it was all right actually for the first 6 months. My wife's from there, and we know lots of people there. But and it was probably a lot more sensible the first lockdown there than central London was for queuing and people being agitated and things. Then when I came back here, literally all I had there was a laptop. We only packed for like a week. So we're only going back for a week or 10 days, and we ended up being there for 6 months. We just had winter clothes, so we had to go to the supermarket and buy summer clothes.
The seasons have changed.
It was like 35 degrees there. It was like mental. It's like, hang on, I've got hoodies and woolly coats and stuff. But
it's such a rock star.
So what I decided to do was like I was saying earlier, just sort of work on my playing, try things that I've not done before. Work on lead playing a little bit and just technique, really. Little things that I just haven't felt I needed to do for a long time, but given the time, I was actually relishing it, really. It made my hands sore because my hands are so used to doing certain things on the guitar that when I tried doing something new, it was like, oh, ow.
Yeah. That's weird.
But, I mean, that sort of works out eventually. But yeah, no, and I've had I've had a few session things in and just basically enjoying playing for my own, like I usually do at home. I've always had a home studio since about 95, and I sort of write for pleasure and, just for bits and bobs,
Yeah, so it's all about the rest of the band then. Are they all doing similar sort of things? Are they all got any other projects?
Yeah, I mean, it's like, I think Steve spends most of his time walking his dog. He goes for like long walks. He goes for hours with his dog, and Nick and his missus have got a dog, so they were the dog gets you out of the house, which is, I haven't got a dog. I love dogs, but I haven't got one here because it's too small really where I live. Not enough green space around here, but it gets you out of the house at least, I think. I don't know what Greg's been up to. He's probably been in his studio, probably.
He hasn't come out for 6 months.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, he's probably got 10 albums written.
Exactly. Yeah. I've mapped out the next 15 years. Yeah, I mean, what I mean,
till we're 60.
I mean, looking at, I'm looking at all his time. I guess it must be hard for someone like Greg, if he's writing PL stuff, then to actually not sort of think, well, better start the next album, I guess. Because if you had to,
I don't know whether he has done. I mean, maybe him and Nick have been batting ideas around, or he has side projects as well. So maybe he's done another side project album or something.
Yeah. Because normally, if you'd released the album in 2020 and you toured sort of straight away, when would you have started the next album?
We usually do about a year and a half of touring. I mean, actually, it's got a little bit longer in recent years. I think that's because Nick's got Bloodbath and Greg's got Strigoi and that. So it seems to have added like another year on. But it used to be like every 2 years we do tour for a year and a half, 6 months of writing and recording, tour for a year and a half, and it was like, it was kind of like that from sort of 92 onwards. It was kind of very much like that. Since we turned professional, really. I mean, we turned professional end of 91 when we signed for Music for Nations. Yeah. And we were writing Shades of God at that point. We'd finished touring. Gothic, I don't think we didn't do that many shows for them, really. I mean, we did a couple of small tours, but within 6 months, we'd sort of finished, really. But then once we sort of got with Music for Nations and onwards, it was pretty much 2 year cycles, but Medusa was 3. I think Obsidian was 3. But it's usually there's usually a 2 year-ish cycle. Yeah. So, I mean, when I think about the 70s, bands were putting albums out every 6 months and touring for 6 months and writing on the road and then going straight in the studio again. That must have been bananas. I mean, Kiss had 8 million albums in 3.
That's because they didn't have digital stuff. They couldn't keep redoing things.
Yeah. But I think, it's kind of, you sort of become used to the cycle. It becomes like your working year is like 2 years, basically, 2.5 years it is now. But yeah, obviously this is completely thrown out. It's going to be nice to get, hopefully next year, things are back to normal. I mean, this year, even if things happen, I still think obviously there's going to be decreased crowd capacity and things like that, obviously. Which makes it difficult for promoters, because promoters have got to pay for the bands too. I mean, especially if they're international. This is why I think most touring is going to be domestic for a while. Because they can't afford to fly a band over, pay for the hotels, and then have like a quarter of the money coming in to pay for them.
No, it doesn't work, does it?
Yeah, a lot of promoters are literally on the edge of profit when they've got a full room anyway. They just want to get the artist there and do it. There's a lot of great promoters that pretty much don't make very much money out of it. The independent guys, and they're not going to be able to afford to do it, which is a shame. No, but I think when touring proper does happen, I think because everybody's going to want to tour because it's a main source of income. I think there's a good chance you're going to get like 4 band bills, because there's only so many venues and so many days in the year.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Every band's been sat on their arse for weeks and months, whatever.
And then you've got the poor people who want to go to all these shows and can't afford it because everyone's on tour. And because there's a lot of people who have lost income as well that want to go to shows, and they'll have to be very choosy. So I think it's going to be Yeah, it's going to be a year or two before it rights itself once it starts going, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
The first year is going to be mental. Really, it's going to be bananas.
Yeah, I think, and as I say, I mean, international travel as well. I mean, at the moment, you're really restricted to where you can go to from the UK as well, aren't you?
Well, yeah. I mean, as COVID aside, let's not forget Brexit and their complete apathy towards musicians and crew. It's like British crew at the minute are facing the thing is like nobody touring Europe is going to hire British crew.
No. Let's not start on Brexit. God's sake. Yeah. It makes me so angry, the whole thing,
No, set likewise.
It's just absolutely gutted. It just, I can't do anything about it. I can't change it. It's just, I mean, the whole thing's a mess, and it really is. I feel so sorry for guys who work in that sort of industry, and just the complete livelihoods taken away from them.
Yeah.
For no good reason whatsoever. I mean, as part of the thing, coming to Munich, I thought, great, Germans love metal. Got the backstage, got the sort of Zenith, and
great venue at the backstage.
nothing happening.
Good food at the backstage as well. I mean, the chef, the kitchen there is great for the artists. When you're upstairs in the dining room upstairs, it's always really good food there.
So I've been here since November, Aaron, and the nearest I've got is going past it on the train.
Yeah, the train goes right past it, though, doesn't it?
I know.
It's literally right at the back door, isn't it?
I know. I was just like, I wonder where it is. Oh, there's a big yellow sign over there. It must be right there. But yeah, obviously no buggers playing. It's now.
It's about 20 yards from the railway.
I know. I think it's a COVID test station at the moment.
Is it? All right.
Yeah, something like that. So yeah, no buggers playing there whatsoever. Oh, great.
No, I can't wait to get back to. Playing Germany is great for us. It always has been. But we're very fortunate that Germany, sort of like Spain, Portugal, Greece, the Scandinavians have always been pretty loyal. So we've always had good tours in general.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember when I was at school, first year of senior school, 1981. 82. When I finished the first year, if you were good at, because French was compulsory. If you were excellent at French, you did Latin.
Right.
It was a grammar school.
Yeah, of course.
If you were good at French, you did German. If you were rubbish at French, you did classical studies. Now, I love my history. Classical studies was ancient Rome, Greece, Celtic mythology, ancient Egypt, and I was like, I'm just going to fail French. I'm never going to go to France for a start. Never going to go to Germany. And I love history, right? Fail French. So I did classical studies. But just to be fair, it was the best lesson I've ever had in my life. I love that lesson. But I figured it out. I spent about 2.5 years of my life in Germany.
Yeah, I'll just say you never need it. Yeah, but I mean, most English people are pretty lazy when it comes to learning foreign languages.
Oh, I love languages. I absolutely love languages. I can speak a bit of Portuguese, French, Spanish, German.
Oh, it's great.
But I don't practice it enough, and then you forget all the vocab that you've learned while you're there. That's the only problem.
Yeah. That's what I find coming to Bavaria. They got their own slant on German language.
Yeah.
You're like, what's that word? Or what you say? Oh, I don't understand it at all. But yeah, okay. I mean,
are you pretty good with your German then?
I spreche ein bisschen Deutsch, yeah. I can speak a little bit. I've been learning it since I've been here. So I think once you've got a reason to learn it, I tend to learn it. I'm not one of these people who can learn things just out of a textbook. Yeah, I have to think, I'm going to use this every day.
It's better to learn when you're immersed in it. It's always the best way. That picked up my French no end. We did a 2-week tour just in France. And my French by the end was better than it was when I was at school. And I did it for 5 years.
Yeah. We're put to shame by the Europeans mainly, aren't we? Because they find out your English, they're much better than we are at their language.
Yeah, I've got people I work with, and they speak like three, four languages. And it's like, and then people have a go at their, the way they say things is a bit funny in English. It's like, hang on a minute.
Yeah, I dread to think how I sound.
Yeah, whereas sometimes the English thing, if they can't understand you, just say it again, but louder.
Oh God, yeah. Let's not go there either. So, I mean, the last time I saw you guys, I think it was the Thekla in Bristol, because that's where I came from, Bristol.
Oh, so, right.
Yeah, you played on the Thekla. On the boat. Yeah.
I was the one behind the speaker.
Yeah. Well, I'm real short, so I can't see anything anyway. I can just hear you, I think.
Right.
But then I think
I was literally behind the PA speaker. So I was just laughing my head off. I mean, nothing like that, Bob. an ego with that sort of thing. I've had it a bunch of times. There used to be a gig in Cardiff called Bogies, and
Yes,
you literally,
I played there. Yeah,
I stood behind that. They used to have a big metal pillar in the middle of the stage. I played behind that pillar. I've done it for a couple of gigs. The Thekla was the worst though, because that was like almost. I think you could see my feet underneath the PA speaker. But I just find it funny. I still do the same thing because I've got my eyes closed anyway, so most of the time. But yeah, no, there was a good gig though. That it's a bit just get a bit warm in there though. Sometimes
it does, and it's kind of like where you got the bar and the merch stand and stuff. It's like a bit of a bottleneck into the room then, and yeah,
especially when they coming in for the nightclub at the end as well.
Yeah, there is that. Yeah, but I mean, I think on the Moonspell tour, you're playing the SWX, aren't you, in Bristol?
I don't think I've played there before.
It's about, I'd say, maybe 4 times as big as a Thekla. So,
all right,
that must be a nice feeling.
Oh yeah, that's great. I mean, I quite like the vibe of the Thekla, to be honest. It was it's interesting because I mean, it's a different sort of venue. I like things that are a little bit different, but to me, you know, I always say it's like the two favorite shows. I mean, there's lots of favorite shows, but I mean, we headlined Dynamo in '95 to 130,000 people.
Wow. Yeah.
And my other one, which I always say I enjoyed it as much. We played to 140 people in a Swedish pool hall once, and people were crowd surfing and walking on the ceiling. It was that low, no barrier, no stage really. We were like about 3 inches higher than the crowd, so there's only the front row that could see us, and it was just mental. It was like 140 cap, totally full, and it was just a mental gig, but it was so much fun. You know what I mean? It was just such a good gig. That was about 93 or something like that. Yeah, 93. Might have been the Icon tour or something like that. But yeah, it was it was hilarious. But to me, it doesn't matter the size of the venue, really.
No. I guess some gigs sort of surprise you, don't they? You think, well, I wasn't really expecting that.
Well, this is it, you know. I mean, we did a US tour a couple of years ago. Well, maybe a few years ago now. And we were playing some venues where it was a good-sized room, but the audience didn't do much. They were quite quiet, but not quiet, but you know what I mean? And then we as a filler show, because you have to drive like 1,000 miles between some shows, so it could take you a few days. So you always have like filler shows, and we did one in Salt Lake City, and I think there was about 30 people there in this pretty big room.
Yeah,
30 people, but they went mental, and it was brilliant, absolutely fantastic. And they were like, "Thank you for playing, because nobody ever comes here," kind of thing.
Yeah, they're really grateful.
Obviously, because there's nobody there to go to shows, but they were going absolutely mental, and I loved it. That was such a good gig. One of my favourites on the US tour, even though there was like 30 people in there. You know, but it was great, and they appreciated it. I think it's if the crowd are enjoying it, it doesn't matter how many there are, really. You know, no. I think that's what I'm trying to put across. If you and the crowd are having a good time, that's it, really.
Yeah, exactly. And I think bands who don't put the effort in, because they think, there's only 50 people, I can't be asked. That never comes. That always goes badly, doesn't it? Then. Yeah,
my thing has always been, it's like I do my thing, because I'm there to enjoy myself. And I say, if the audience enjoy themselves half as much as I do, they've had a good night.
Yeah,
and that's always been my attitude. I don't care how many people there are.
Must be weird for you guys, because you got a reputation for being miserable, and then you might smile occasionally by accident.
Yeah, I get told off for that. Absolutely.
You're like the opposite of Anthrax.
Yeah, but no, you know, if I'm enjoying myself, I mean, I remember probably the last time I tried to give this was that Dynamo Festival in '95. I sort of walked on. I hadn't looked at the crowd all day, but we'd heard it was pretty big. And Typo guys said it was a massive crowd. So I hadn't looked at it all day, and when I walked out on stage, I looked up. And it was just like 130,000 people all put their hands up and screamed. And I must admit, I was trying to look mean, and just the biggest grin in my life across my face. I must have looked like I don't know.
Yeah,
that kid on the Mad magazine.
Yeah,
you know,
with a few freckles. Yeah, I just think, if you see a band that's enjoying themselves, that's infectious in itself, isn't it? And that feeds back to the audience. And yeah, I know. You can see when a band's been on tour for months on it, and they look tired and stuff. It never quite works the same, does it?
No. I still think, to me, I don't know. I wait all day to go on stage, so I'm never miserable on stage, because it's what I wait all day to do. You know, I'm excited about it. But yeah, no, and if the crowd want to come along for the ride, even better.
Yeah. Yeah, brilliant. Well, when's Live at the Mill actually released? Is it July? It's coming out, I think, isn't it?
16th of July. Yeah, it's coming out on. Yeah, it's on Blu-ray, CD, and vinyl.
On real proper physical media. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so glad that vinyl is a thing again, because all my most exciting record purchases were literally going on the bus to town, going to the record shop, having a word with the guy who worked there, and getting stuff like. I mean, the last one I remember doing that with was King Diamond's Abigail in '87.
Yeah.
And then you're on the bus home and you're like looking at the artwork, reading the thanks list on the sleeve. But the artwork, now when you see like a 64 by 64 pixel picture, it's like, hang on, why did we pay someone £10,000 to paint that? Do you know what I mean?
That is a very good point, isn't it? Yeah.
Do you know, it's like, what's the point? But with vinyl, it's yeah. And that's only because I passed my driving test the week after and I didn't have to get the bus to town anymore. But yeah, that was the last time I remember doing that sort of thing. It's like when Iron Maiden's Peace of Mind came out, 84, I think it was. I went down to get it in the morning before I went to school, because when the shop opened at 8 o'clock, I got it at 8 and I went straight to school. You know, it was exciting, but especially Maiden albums were great for like, not so much the Peace of Mind one, but you know, when Life After Death and stuff like that, you're looking for all the little clues and little things that Derek Riggs left on the cover art. And stuff
I remember Somewhere in Time looking through all the sort of Springsteen and stuff, thinking, oh, that's the Ruskin Arms.
yeah, and it's incredible. I mean, it's like the reason I'm talking to you today is because of Number of the Beast. You know, I mean, I saw that on Top of the Pops and it was like, that's it. I love metal. You know, and whereas last week I was sat talking with Bruce Dickinson, who was doing the ride, and Rod Smallwood. Yeah. You know, and it's like, wow, this has come full circle.
Yeah.
You know,
I've made it. I can die happy.
Yeah, I mean, and Rod's from the same part of Huddersfield that I'm from. He actually delivered newspapers on the same road I lived on when he was a kid. Yeah. That's how, I mean, it's bananas, really.
Yeah.
He's a good lad, Rod. So I'll see him this week as well. But I mean, it's amazing because the charity, the Truants and the Heavy Metal Truants charity now, literally they just announced it last week. We've just gone over the £1 million raised.
That's brilliant.
Over the last 9 years for it's Save the Children, Teenage Cancer Trust, Nordhoff Robbins, and Childline. I actually went down to Childline and saw what they do and the volunteers and everything there. It's amazing. So it spurs you on to raise money for them.
Aren't you supposed to be evil though? I mean, surely you're in a metal band and you don't.
Nah, that's kind of like Vincent. That's like Vincent Furnier and Alice Cooper.
Yes.
When Alice goes on stage, he always talks about it in the third person, which I find quite. He's such a nice bloke. Apparently, I know loads of people know Alice Cooper, and he's apparently such a lovely bloke.
Yeah, he's still going strong, isn't he? Going amazing.
Yeah,
well,
great. I saw him live a few years ago. Brilliant.
Yeah,
still really good. You know?
Yeah, he's an amazing showman. Yeah, brilliant. All right, Aaron, that's brilliant. Really good interview. Really enjoyed that. So, anything you want to sort of add at the end, and anything we need to look forward to from you guys?
Hopefully, we get to see people on tour in the near future. But I mean, we had a blast recording The Mill, so check it out. Like I say, it's out in July. Various things, but yeah, we did it on Bonfire Night, which annoyed my mum because it was her birthday and I couldn't go. But yeah, it was a good blast to do it actually, and I can't wait to be on stage with my bandmates again and hopefully share our music with all of you again, and hopefully that's not going to be too far away.
Brilliant. All right. Well, thanks ever so much, Aaron.
Thank you very much for your time, John.
Yeah, excellent.
It was a fun chat to you.
Yeah, and I will definitely come and catch you when you come to Germany, all right?
Munich backstage, right.
Yeah, brilliant. All right, nice one.
All right,
thanks, Aaron.
Take care, mate.
And you, mate. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bis bald. Tschüss.
Bis bald. Tschüss.
This is Daniel from Thrasher Wolf, and you are listening to the UK Thrashers radio show.
Okay, next up a band who have just released or announced the release at least of their debut album Baptised in Blasphemy on vinyl, limited to 100 copies. We are already on the order for that. These guys have also got a gig coming up on Saturday, July the 17th, supported by Bionial Design, King's Abyss, Reaper, Illyrian, Tortured Demon and Bloodrust. That's going to be an absolute fucking rager. This is Devastator and Howling Night.
see the black allegiance on this holy howling night. Troops of hell smash the gate and revel in pain and death. The master raises up, followers embrace the ransom prayer in the cries of untold suffering. Feel the darkness of power from within. Black legions heed the call of howling night. Howling night. Howling night. The necromancer conjuring these armies of the dead. Unleash hell's legions, rape the holy land ahead. Destroy all, leave the heavens burn in flames. Summon nothing, kill them all, till nothing left remains. In the cries of untold suffering, feel the darkness and power from within. Black legions heed the call of howling night. Howling night. Howling night. Satan our master is a charge towards the throne. To the lives of the faithful and massacre the light. Embrace the darkness, spear from the devil's horn. In the holy trinity, bow down to the one dark lord.
Next up, another band that have got gigs coming up, 24th of July in the Fighting Cocks. This is Imperium, and here comes the night. Imperium followed straight on by our mates Dead Before Mourning, also supporting them at that Biting Cocks gig in July. And finally, a band that finally got to play their album launch party. This is the fabulous Young Thrashers Tortured Demon, and this is The Invasion. See you next time.
Try and be like another kind. You cannot kill